Cavin. I'm a wedding photographer in San Diego, and recently I've been talking a lot about my own wedding planning, but I decided to take a break from that today to give some more tips for brides and grooms on seating charts. So I'm often online browsing different forums for brides and grooms, trying to give answers from a perspective of a professional, and one of the questions that I see often is, do we need a seating chart? And that is often accompanied by the fact that they hate the idea of a seating chart, they think it seems stuffy, too formal, too traditional, they don't want to do all the work that it takes to build out a seating chart. And I'm going to say the short answer is yes, you do need a seating chart. I'm going to explain exactly why you should have one in this video. There are a lot of reasons, but essentially it all boils down to decreasing the amount of stress and confusion for your guests and making sure that people don't end up sitting by themselves. So I will say that 99% of my weddings do have a seating chart, and that could either be that they have just simply assigned tables, so Joe and Sally are at table 7, or that they have assigned seating at a specific table. So Joe and Sally are at table 7 and they sit here and here on the table. So that's kind of a deeper level of a seating chart. You might find the idea of simply a table more appealing. Personally, I like that one better. It's a little less formal, but people still know exactly where to go, but then they can choose who they sit next to. Now, some caterers might require that you have specific assigned seats because they might need to know exactly which place setting gets which meal, but a way around that can usually be just having a place card or an escort card that has their meal choice on it, whether marked with a little sticker, an illustration, a dot, whatever you want to do, however fancy you want to get. But basically, those are the two kinds of seating charts that I'm going to refer to. And I will say I have done a few weddings that did not have seating charts of any kind whatsoever, and it was honestly such chaos. The guests had no idea where to go. They were asking every single vendor around, where do I sit? Where do I go? Where's the chart? I don't know what's happening. Where do I go? So that was something that I've witnessed that was really stressful for guests, and it took twice as long to get everybody seated, and therefore dinner started late, everything else started late, and the couple ran out of time with me, so they had to squeeze in a bunch of dances right before I left. So it was definitely really terrible in terms of logistics for the guests. Now, another thing that I hear from people who have gone to weddings and did not have a seating chart is that they sometimes can't sit with their family or their friends that they want to sit with because there's not a table left by the time they get in the room that has enough seats to put everybody at the same table. So that's definitely something that's a huge bummer for your guest. If they were looking forward to sitting with their college friends or their coworkers, whatever it may be, they might get broken up because they can't find a table that fits everybody. Now, another con to not having a seating chart is a case where perhaps you have a couple of guests who don't know anybody else from the wedding. They go and they sit down at a table, but then nobody else sits at their table. So they're sitting there by themselves, which is usually not very fun for them because they already know these people. Perhaps they wanted to talk with other people as well. So that's just another complaint that I've heard about weddings without seating charts. So I will say yes, you do need to have a seating chart because it really has a lot of pros in reverse to the cons that it brings. So I think it's a great idea if you are worried about how long it's going to take you. Plan out one night next week to sit down with your fiance and build out a seating chart. Just work on it. Maybe even put on a TV show you like while doing it, just so it's easier to do for you and you don't get too sick of it. Another thing that I think you could do is you could make the escort card display, which is basically escort cards are place settings. You can make the escort card display really beautiful, really personalized to you. So it doesn't have to just be super stuffy. It doesn't have to be a list if you don't want it to. It can be whatever you want. So for example, I've had a wedding once where the couple really loved coffee. That was a big part of their lives. So as their escort cards, they actually gave out little jars of coffee beans with the guest name and table number on them. And I thought that was amazing. I've also had weddings do champagne, like mini champagne bottles to give out to their guests that tell them where to go. I've seen all kinds of things. My own wedding planner, Amorology, does the most creative escort card displays. One of the reasons we hired her, so I'm really looking forward to having something really fun that honors who we are and is exciting, and guests are actually enjoying the process of picking out their names and knowing where to sit. I will say before I go, one exception to needing a seating chart is perhaps if you have a very small guest list and most of the guests know each other. So if you have 20 people, they're all family, they all know each other, you don't have a ton of tables, then it will probably work out to not have a seating chart unless you just want one. But for weddings that have more than 20 people, especially for weddings with more than 100 people, you really should have some sort of assigned seating or an assigned table to help guests navigate the process, not take too long to sit down, and not have stress over where they're gonna be. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. My next video is gonna be talking about my own save the dates. We just had them printed, so I can't wait to show you guys. See you then.